Okay, this is section 6.5, and it's all about how mitochondria and chloroplast, how they are going to change energy from whether it be sugar or sunlight into something else that the cell can use. This is my second time around trying to record this, so fingers crossed this works. But we know that we have to transform energy from sunlight, or we have to eat something else to get that energy. And what's really interesting is that mitochondria and chloroplast, they're very similar in structure and function, and they have common evolutionary origins. So first off, we know that mitochondria and chloroplast are both found in eukaryotic cells. Because if you remember, you rhymes with do, they do have membrane-bound organelles. So these guys are going to be found in eukaryotes. Now, not all eukaryotes will have chloroplast, but most of them will have mitochondria. And there are exceptions to different types of cells that don't even have these different organelles or nuclei. But for the most part, they will have mitochondria, and then if they are plant or algae based, they're going to have chloroplast. So mitochondria look kind of like little jelly beans. They have this double membrane with this internal folding. And we're going to look closer, but you should see this shape and be able to recognize it. Now chloroplasts, we know, are green because of the chlorophyll pigment, and they also have a double membrane, and they actually have stacks inside of them that we're going to look at closer later. But right away we can already see their structural relationships. So mitochondria, this is where we have cellular respiration. So flashback to freshman year, you got to remember that cellular respiration is the breakdown of sugar to release energy. So the only reason we take in carbon dioxide, or sorry, not carbon dioxide, oxygen, is so that we can break down sugar to release ATP, and oh yeah, we're going to release carbon dioxide and water. So this is the big payoff right here. You want the ATP, you want the adenosine triphosphate, the energy currency of our cells. And guess what? You exhale carbon dioxide as well as eliminate water from your body. So kind of cool. So this is going to occur in the mitochondria. And the chloroplast is where we have our sites for photosynthesis. And what do you know? Photosynthesis is, I'll use my green. Here's my green. Where plants take in CO2, they take in water, and the energy from sun to make sugar and sweet, sweet oxygen. So you should notice that the photosynthesis and cellular respiration are reverses. They are opposites of each other. They have an inverse relationship. Okay, and we're also going to be looking at peroxisomes, which are going to help with oxidation and with poisons and breaking down of organelles. Let's move on here. Okay. So mitochondria and chloroplasts, they have a lot of similarities with bacteria, and in the fact that they both have this double membrane. So they both have a double membrane. They both also have these free ribosomes, which we know make protein, as well as their own circular DNA, which is really neat. Your mitochondrial DNA is passed along on your maternal side, so they call it mDNA, mitochondrial DNA, and you can think of maternal. So you have the same DNA as your mom found in your mitochondria, and that's how they do all those ancestry tests, that you may see on National Geographic or on TV. So they're looking at your mitochondrial DNA. They also have their own way to grow and reproduce, which is totally independent of what's happening in the cell. So that is pretty nifty. Now, endosymbiotic theory is widely accepted, and it states that an early ancestor of these eukaryotic cells engulfed a oxygen-using photosynthetic or non-photosynthetic cell, so that would be like the mitochondrion. Okay. And then it also eventually engulfed a cell that was a photosynthetic prokaryote. So eventually they formed this relationship. This symbiosis means relationship with the host cell, and they started working together, and they merged into a single organism. A eukaryotic cell that had a mitochondrion, that no photosynthetic prokaryote was taken in, or a eukaryotic cell that engulfed a photosynthetic prokaryote. So mitochondria, they are going to be in almost all eukaryotic cells. So yes, some cells do not have mitochondria, but they have that smooth outer membrane, that double membrane, and then this inner membrane that's folded into cristae. And within this inner membrane, there's going to be like two compartments, and we'll look at a picture later that's a better drawing. We have the mitochondrial matrix, and then the intermembrane space. So we have different parts of cellular respiration occurring here. Like for cellular respiration, a lot of your steps will go on in the matrix. So I think of the movie The Matrix. And the cristae are folded quite a bit to increase your surface area so that you can make more ATP. You can synthesize, you can make more ATP for cellular respiration. Thank you, mitochondria. And here is that picture, a much better drawing, I promised you, of those mitochondria. So here's the intermembrane space. I'm going to try to trace it. Very good. And then the outer membrane. And here's that free-floating DNA that you get from your mom's side, that maternal mitochondrial DNA. And then there's also free ribosomes in the mitochondrial matrix, so making their own proteins to make information from the DNA sent to those ribosomes. So you'll see from the mitochondria all this folding of the cristae shows another example of structure determining function. So these mitochondria, they can change their shapes, they can fuse, they can divide in two, which is not really guided by the nucleus of the overall cell. So they have their own information, and they can divide and reproduce independently.